Namaste, Hamesha Kushrovitia. I am JV and Dr. Pinakshi, Assistant Professor in Department of Shalakirtand, Faculty of Ayurvedic Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. आज का हमारा टॉपिक है टॉसेस. So here is an image of tosses. You can see the drooping of eyelid of the left eye of this patient. Abnormal drooping of the upper eyelid is called tosses. Normally, upper eyelid covers about 1/6 of the cornea, about 2 mm. Therefore, in tosses, it covers more than 2 mm. It is called tosses when it covers more than 2 mm of the cornea. There are two types of tosses: congenital tosses and acquired tosses. Congenital tosses, it is associated with congenital weakness or maldevelopment of the levator palpebrae superioris or the LP. It may occur in the following forms: simple congenital tosses or congenital tosses with associated weakness. First, the simple congenital toss is not associated with any other anomaly. The congenital toss is with associated weakness of superior rectus muscle. Third is as a part of blepharophimosis syndrome, which comprises congenital tosses, blepharophimosis, talicanthus, and epicanthus inversus. Fourth is the congenital synkinetitosis, Marcus Gunn jaw winking tosses. In this condition, there occurs retraction of the ptotic lid with jaw movements, that is, with stimulation of ipsilateral pterygoid muscle. Acquired tosses, depending upon the cause, it may be neurogenic, myogenic, aponeurotic, or mechanical. First, the neurogenic tosses. It is caused by innervational defects such as third nerve palsy, Horner syndrome, ophthalmoplegic migraine, and multiple sclerosis. Second is the myogenic tosses. It occurs due to acquired disorders of the LPS muscle or of the myoneural junction. It may be seen with myasthenia gravis, dystrophica myotonica, ocular myopathy, oculopharyngeal muscular dystrophy, and falling trauma to the LPS muscle. Third, aponeurotic ptosis. It develops due to defects of the levator aponeurosis in the presence of a normally functioning muscle. It includes involutional ptosis, postoperative ptosis, ptosis due to aponeurotic weakness associated with blepharochalasis, and in traumatic dehiscence or disinsertion of the aponeurosis. Fourth is the mechanical ptosis. It may result due to excessive weight on the upper lid, as seen in patients with lid tumors, multiple chalasia, and lid edema. It may also occur due to scarring, as seen in patients with ocular pemphigoid and trachoma. Then the clinical evaluation of ptosis. Following scheme may be adopted for workup of a ptosis patient. First is history. It should include age of onset, family history, history of trauma, eye surgery, and variability in degree of the ptosis. Examination of ptosis. It includes pseudotosis. First, we should exclude pseudotosis, means simulated tosis on inspection. Its common causes are microphthalmos, anophthalmos, and thysis bulbi. Observe the following points in each case: whether toss is a unilateral or bilateral, function of orbicularis oculi muscle, eyelid crease is present or absent, jaw winking phenomena is present or absent, associated weakness of any extraocular muscle, Bell's phenomena means up and out rolling of the eyeball during forceful closure is present or absent. Then third is measurement of amount or degree of ptosis. In unilateral cases, the difference between the vertical height of the palpebral fissures of the two sides indicates the degree of ptosis. In bilateral cases, it can be determined by measuring the amount of cornea covered by the upper lid and then subtracting 2 mm depending upon its amount. The ptosis is graded as mild, moderate, and severe: 2 mm, 3 mm, and 4 mm. Fourth is the assessment of levator function. It is determined by the lid exertion caused by LPS muscle, Burki's method. Patient is asked to look up and thumb of one hand is placed firmly against the eyebrow of the patient by the examiner. Then the patient is asked to look up and the amount of upper lid exertion is measured with a ruler held in the other hand by the examiner. Levator function is graded as normal, good, fair, and poor. Normal when it is 15 mm, good when levator function is 8 mm or more, fair when 5 to 7 mm, and poor when 4 mm or less. Special investigations can be done. Those required in the patients with acquired ptosis are as follows. Penicillin test is performed when Myasthenia is suspected. There occurs improvement of ptosis with intravenous injection of androphonium in Myasthenia. Second is phenylephrine test, which is carried out in patients suspected of Horner syndrome. Third, neurological investigations may be required to find out the cause in patients with neurogenic ptosis. Sixth is the photographic record of the patient should be maintained for comparison. Photographs should be taken in primary position as well as in up and down gazes. Then comes the treatment part, treatment of congenital ptosis. It almost always needs surgical correction. In severe ptosis, surgery may be performed at the earliest to prevent stimulus deprivation amblyopia. However, in mild and moderate ptosis, surgery should be delayed until the age of 3 to 4 years when accurate measurements are possible. Congenital ptosis can be treated by any of the following operations, like Fasinella servant operation, levator resection, frontalis sling operation, which is also called the pro suspension. First is the Fasinella servant operation. It is performed in cases having mild ptosis and good levator function. In it, upper lid is everted and the upper tarsal border along with its attached Mueller's muscle and conjunctiva are resected. Second is the levator resection. It is very commonly performed operation for moderate and severe grades of ptosis. It is contraindicated in patients having severe ptosis with poor levator function. The amount of levator resection is required. Most of the surgeons find it out by adjusting the lid margin in relation to cornea during operation on the table in individual case. However, a rough estimate in different grades of ptosis is as follows. First is a moderate ptosis. The level of LPS amount of uh, resection depends upon the LPS to be function resected. Good 16 to 17 mm minimal, fair 18 to 22 mm moderate, poor 23 to 24 mm maximum. Severe ptosis, the fair levator 23 to 24 mm maximum function LPS resected. Then techniques, levator muscles may be resected by either conjunctival or skin approach. First is the conjunctival approach. Beskovic's operation. This technique is comparatively easy but not suitable for large amount of resection. In its LPS muscle is exposed by an incision made through the conjunctiva near the tarsal border after the upper lid is doubly everted over a Desmere's lid retractor. Second is the skin approach, Everbuck's operation. It is a more frequently employed technique. It allows comparatively better exposure of the LPS muscle through a skin incision along the line of future lid fold. Then the frontalis sling operation or bro suspension. This is performed in patients having severe ptosis with no levator function. In this operation, lid is anchored to the frontalis muscle via a sling. Facial atta or some non-absorbable material, supramide suture may be used as sling. Then acquired efforts should be made to find out the underlying cause and if possible treat it. In neurogenic ptosis, conservative treatment should be carried out and surgery deferred at least for 6 months. Surgical procedures when required are essentially the same as described for congenital ptosis. However, the amount of levator resection required is always less than the congenital ptosis of the same degree. Further, in most cases, the simple Fasinella servant operation procedure is adequate. Thank you so much. This session is powered by Digital Version 2.0, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please write in the comment box. I will resolve it. Thank you so much.